Should kids and teens be lifting weights? Should they be doing CrossFit? In this episode, I want to talk about the rise of youth strength training, what the science says, and how it can be approached responsibly. Guys, tune in and take notes.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
So, interesting demographics are that most of our CrossFitters here at CrossFit Edwardsville are parents of kids, and those kids are probably under the age of 10 or at the most in their teen years. Obviously, there are lots of exceptions, but a lot of us are in that season of life where we have young kids, and it is very much the Edwardsville, Glen Carbon way to have kids doing sports, doing a lot of sports, and possibly even multiple sports, and paying for additional training outside the gym to improve their speed, their power, their explosiveness, their strength, their muscular stamina, their agility. It is exceptionally normal behavior in this area to have kids doing all of these things. And so there's a very reasonable question that comes up, which is, should our kids be lifting weights as a part of their cross training, as a part of their strength and conditioning program? This is a really, really important topic to a lot of us parents. And not just because we want our kids to be active, it's because our kids, for a lot of us, our kids are more sedentary than they've ever been. Kids are competing, or kids' attention is often dominated by screen time. And a lot of us as parents are trying to find activities that will effectively compete with screens, tablets, cell phones, all of that, because we know the more time we spend on screens, we see anxiety, depression, we see all those going up. Obesity rates are going up. As our screen time climbs, our movement time goes down. And youth strength and conditioning can actually be part of the solution. It can be part of the antidote to the problem. It can build confidence in our kids, build coordination, resilience. It's not just building muscles. It's also building that mind space of, I can do hard things. I can overcome in the face of adversity, things that kids don't learn in the same way on screens. And to an extent, in a way that kids don't learn in academia, the exercise piece, the movement piece is medicine itself. And we all know also that the habits that we form when we are young, when we're kids, they can impact the entirety of the rest of our lives. So how do we do that in the most intelligent way possible? Specific to today's topic, should our kids be lifting weights? Because there is this persistent older belief set or I would say myth that lifting weights stunts growth, which I want to be very clear. The reality is that is a completely false statement. There is no science, there's no solid scientific backing to the idea that lifting weights stunts kids' growth or compromises their growth plates. There's just no evidence of that, especially with properly supervised resistance training. It's actually the opposite. Like, strength training has been proven through data, through quality scientific evidence, that it's safe and beneficial, especially when it's age appropriate, when it's supervised by qualified coaches that have a polite insistence on form over load. Form over load is a universally good idea, but including with our kids, right? You got to have coaches that are good at actually enforcing that, because like when you have quality resistance training, you build muscle strength, you build muscle endurance, you build bone density, you build injury resistance in sports. You actually build a more durable human that is less likely to get hurt in sports versus one that is hypermobile, loosey-goosey, or has stiff, immobile muscles from sitting in one position for long periods of time. So This is a very important consideration, right? And it's one that we take seriously at CrossFit Edwardsville. I'm going to talk for a minute about how we train kids at CrossFit Edwardsville. We focus on form, we focus on fun, we focus on fundamentals. The founder of CrossFit once put it this way, and it's a quote that I like, that once you've mastered the fundamentals, go back to the start and do it all over again, but this time paying closer attention to the details, which is a fancy way of saying form always includes a high degree of focus on fundamentals, and we should hammer the crap out of fundamentals to do movements well. And we do several different kinds of movements here in CrossFit, which includes your squatting movements, your hinging movements, your pulling movements, your pushing movements, running and jumping, plyometric movements. It includes relative strength, where some of what we do is body weight strengthening stuff. Some of it is external load stuff, kettlebells, band resistance, etc., sleds, pushing sleds, games and challenges to keep it engaging for the kids, for the youth athletes, because like with youth, a lot of stuff depends on their age, their maturity, their attention span, their physical literacy. I like to say physical literacy, not just their academic literacy, but their physical literacy. And, generally speaking, most kids are not going to be maxing out deadlifts at a very young age unless they have earned the right to load it safely, slowly, and with great form. But our coaches tailor to the athletes based on what they see in the athletes, the youth athletes' physical maturity, their ability to follow instructions, their emotional maturity, as well as their discipline in following guidance. And this benefits us not just in the gym, but out of it, as I mentioned before. And this is true for all of us, but it is true for youth athletes that training builds discipline, it builds focus, it builds confidence, it builds teamwork, it builds leadership, it builds resilience where kids can do the hard things. And yeah, it translates to sports where kids are faster, more agile, they're less injury prone, they have a faster 0 to top speed acceleration, their top velocity is faster, they're more explosive, better at changing directions safely with the ligamentous joint tissue integrity to maintain good orthopedic position, even during high degrees of dynamic direction shifting. And for those of our kids who are not athletes, it builds lifelong health habits as well. So to recap, we talked about whether kids should be lifting weights and whether they can do so safely. We talked about why it matters. We talked about considerations in lifting, how we train kids at CrossFit Edwardsville. We talked about benefits beyond the gym. And so now just some closing thoughts. Strength training, when it's done right, absolutely helps kids become stronger and healthier versions of themselves, and not just physically stronger, but mentally and emotionally stronger. And that's kind of what we're about here at CrossFit Edwardsville. If you're curious about youth training, or if you're wondering if it's right for your child or if they would enjoy it, come talk to us. We'd love to guide them through it. But one way or the other, we thank you for the gift of your time and your attention. And guys, we'll see you in the next episode of the podcast.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more useful tools and guidance, go to CrossFitEdwardsville.com and feel free to like, share, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment sections down below. See you in the next episode.